Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Two Sons Podcast. If you can't tell by my lovely accessory assortment I got going on the good old face, we are celebrating our 50th episode. Yes, folks, at home or in the car or on the cruise ship or in space. If you're in space, and if you are, that's pretty cool. Definitely let us know. That would probably be a first for a podcast. But we are celebrating 50 episodes of Toon Sons podcast. That means 50 episodes of both me and my brother's voices on your screens inside of your ears. Um, we have had the pleasure of presenting you with 49 episodes, and now we are coming to our 50th one. If you can't tell, I am very excited about this. I just had a nosebleed. Actually, I just had two nosebleeds before this for the excitement. My brother can attest. But once again, apologies for any of the late episodes or anything of those sorts. Very, very busy time, and we will get into that a little sooner. A little later. What am I saying? But I just want to say welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. If this is your first time, welcome, and what an episode to start on. But if there's a viewer out there that has been with us since the start, please give us, a holler on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook and let us know that you're enjoying the episodes. If you don't know by now, I am your host, Joey, or the Joe, or the Joe Meister, or the Joe a Million, and I'm joined by my brother. Insert name here.
I'm supposed to say something?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Philip.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. I thought I'd go with the classic, you know?
Yeah, yeah, good old classic. We are also indulging in wonderful drinks. This is
I don't
some
know what
sort
you're
of
talking about. For me
yeah, this is
specifically,
some
I'm just drinking some ginger ale. I mean, this is
yeah, and
literally all just ginger ale.
I'm just drinking some juice out of my Fast X cup here.
Oh, where did you acquire that Fast X cup from?
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have acquired this Fast X cup from a little company called American Multi Cinemas. For you folks at home, that is considered AMC. Um, that is the company I've given my blood, sweat, tears, and every other. Um,
Bodily
you
fluid.
know what? Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but for the past 4.5 years, and it has come with a lot of pleasures and it has come with a lot of sadnesses. But once again, that's something we will get into later. I'm gonna take these glasses off now, but I will get my fair share of money out of them because I did spend $12 on these, so they will be
I'm,
coming up
I'm just watching you on the screen, and I'm like, why are you looking all over the place?
because I can't see. I can't see out of these glasses, so I'm gonna take them off. Oh, look at that face. Yeah, and I will put. You know what? What if I just leave them on my head? There you go. All right,
There you go.
guys.
That
If you
works.
can't tell, that's a 50. Just get the money's worth. You gotta work hard for my money. um, but yeah. Sorry for that little crazy introduction, but we like to do things a little out of order here on Two Sons Podcast. Am I right, Phil?
That's right. That's right.
That's right. So we got a pretty lax episode today. Nothing crazy. We are doing something a little interesting just because it is the 50th episode. But excuse me, we thought we'd take you down memory lane, talk a little about this podcast, talk about a little about our love for podcasting, movies, shows, and etc. And just have an overall fun and exciting episode for you guys today. I
Yeah.
also got some
Mhm.
water in this Transformers cup.
Hey guys, before we get started, check this out.
That's really cool, not gonna lie. Do they have a Predator one?
No, it's for the 40th anniversary of Alien, so we sold them at work.
Didn't even know there was. I didn't even know it was the 40th anniversary of.
Mm,
So does that mean
uh,
Alien and Return of the Jedi came out at the same year? Because didn't Return of the
I
Jedi
guess
turn out
so.
this year?
Yeah, technically, I guess so. Also, apparently, it was the 40th anniversary. I think it was 40th. Correct me if I'm wrong. Of ET, because we got a bunch of like Funko Pops in. And I think it was for the anniversary.
Yes, because I think they are showing that in some theater. No, they showed that previously a couple of months ago. I think. I don't know, but right now they are showing Coraline in select theaters near you. So check that out, guys. I'm pretty sure Disney is releasing a bunch of their movies back in theaters. I don't know which ones. I think Toy Story, Frozen, those might be a couple. Coco, I think Coco might be really re-releasing. Yes.
Now, before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to raise our glass real quick. And before we get into the rest of the episode, I just wanted to give us a grand old toast to Two Sons Podcast. Now, for those of you that have been following us, or for those of you that just don't know, let me enlighten you. Okay. My brother came along to me with an idea one day of being like, you know what? We talk about everything pop culture and movie news like 24/7 when we're with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been watching some cool podcasts where people sit there and this is what they do as a living, right? And he was like, what if we just sat down one day and we just hit record and we just decided to say what we were going to say to each other just in front of a camera, and just have a conversation like we would between the two of us, but just involve other people as well. And keep in mind, this wasn't something that was just kind of like planned. I mean, we just woke up the next morning. We were like, okay, we got the name, we got the logo, we got everything we want to talk about. No, this was a couple of weeks, maybe even like a few months process before we even started recording. And I recently just looked, and our first episode was September 7th of 2021. So this September coming up, which is not too far off, only a few weeks away, is going to be our 2-year anniversary of this podcast. And you know what? Through this podcast, we've made some great memories. We've been able to share a lot of great experiences and stories with you guys. We've gained such a nice knit, following, not only across the United States, but also across the world. People are starting to listen to us and just, come enjoy two brothers just talking about whatever. And, we say it every episode, and we will continue to say it, but we always love and appreciate all your guys' support and sticking with us, whether you're new to the channel. Hey, if you listen to us but you don't follow us, that's totally fine. But if you've followed us and you've listened to us from the very first episode, we appreciate all your love and support. We love you guys. We're always excited when new people come in, when new people, comment or, just give us suggestions or whatever. It's always nice when, myself hear stuff about the podcast. I'm sure when my brother hears stuff about the podcast. So, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys. You're the ones that make this podcast possible. And, it's always nice to see that interaction. And before we get into the rest of the episode, I just wanted to raise our glass and give a toast to Two Sons Podcast and my wonderful co-host / host over there on the other end of the screen. We've even made it work, long distance. And, we're going to keep it going, for as long as we can. So this is a toast to you and to Two Sons Podcast. So cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Grab a glass and join us.
That's good stuff. Man, that scotch is like really watered down.
You mean that ginger ale?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. The ice cubes.
Kind of tasted funny for a second. I was a little confused.
See, watering it down will do that to you. It certainly will.
Good
yes.
Save.
Yeah. But as my brother was saying, yes, it has been a long journey, and I do vaguely remember when I, first thought about this idea. It was, a little after COVID was still around, but it was, kind of opening back up a little bit. And during that time, a lot of people were online, so podcasts became very big and very popular. And again, I was sitting there thinking, why can't we do this? At that time, I don't think you didn't work at you might have worked at the movies at that time.
Actually, when our first episode released, like I was already down in Florida.
But you might have worked at Regal at that time. I'm not sure.
No, it was probably before, but I was still pretty fresh within like the movie industry because I don't think I got a job in Regal right away. I think I got it maybe around October because it was like vaguely familiar from when I started for AMC. So it was like maybe like a month later, but like I just literally left AMC like a couple of weeks before our first episode.
Yeah. And at that time, again, we were both very, I was working at the movies. He was pretty much, just left AMC from New York and, was going down and joining somewhere else down in Florida. And I thought, hey, we're around movies all the time. It's something that we watch. It's something that we talk about even before our jobs there. It's something that we did often as kids. We would go see movies or watch them at home, DVD, CD players, whatever it was, VHS. It was just something we were into. And, why not sit down and discuss it? And it took me a while to figure out how to do that. I don't have the money for a setup. I can't buy all these mics. I'm not computer savvy, and I remember watching this YouTube video and I found out about the original app that it's changed since then, but it was called Anchor, and we just recorded on our phone, and that's how we did it. Nothing crazy, almost like talking to each other just regularly on the phone, and that's how we started. And now their app has evolved, and it's turned into us now, you guys being able to see our faces, actually being able to show you more stuff. And we started our social media. So I completely switched over my personal social media to the podcast one. My brother has created one, so we have a YouTube. All the medias. We're on almost every available streaming platform there is now. So it's crazy how just 2 years is a very long time in my opinion, but it's crazy that over a period of 2 years we have grown not only in episodes but both, I think, in ourselves and what this podcast has become. Because again, we're probably not in the top of any sort of chart of podcasts. Maybe we are. I know when you look up our name, we're the number one for that area, which is awesome in my opinion. And I hope maybe one day we get to one of the tops of there. But everybody has to start somewhere, and we are everybody, we keep on growing, and more people keep on coming and joining. But at the end of the day, the followers, we could have two, we could have 200, we could have 2,000. All that matters is just people are coming out, people are listening, and hopefully they're enjoying what they listen to, what they see. And they come back wanting to actually be in this, um, what's the word? We tried creating a community that people can come and enjoy, discussing or listening and talking about them, favorite movies or just stuff that they love. Yeah, as you can see there. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Whether again it's been for those 2 years, or if it's been for a year, if it's been for 2 months, or if it's been for 2 weeks. Regardless, we love all you guys, and we're happy you're here, and we hope you keep on coming back till the 100th episode, and so on and so forth. I don't plan on stopping this podcast until I'm not able to do it anymore. So we'll be around for a while. Don't worry, guys. You need to catch up.
That's right. Amen. Amen. And like my brother said, I mean, it's been a little busy these last couple of weeks. We're not going to deny it. I mean, obviously, you guys are always super patient. You guys are super understanding. So, again, we always appreciate your guys' support, when we can't get an episode out each week. But thankfully, it seems like the cards are starting to kind of fall into place for both of us. So, when everything gets settled and the dust kind of like, dissipates, we should have a pretty, well-rounded schedule, or at least an idea of like, what days we're going to be able to record. And, as we transition into the fall season and the rest of the year, we should be able to give you guys some more thoroughly scheduled content. So, again, please look forward to that. But, in the case that there is that week, or, there is that time where we cannot get together and, we're kind of, sporadically chasing each other around, trying to figure out when to record, just bear with us. And, I mean, regardless, it took us, I don't know how many times to try to get together and film that Disney episode, but when we did, it's probably like one of the best episodes that we've done, because it has like one of the higher view counts on YouTube. And I mean, I don't know how it did podcast wise, but it seemed to have done fairly well on that end. I mean, I think I had like 25, 26 views last time I looked at it. And, so it seemed to do very well. So, you guys seem to enjoy the little bit of a longer episodes, or at least when they're all condensed into one big file for you guys to watch. So again, just thank you for being patient. Thank you for all the support, and look forward to the rest of the year. I don't know what we'll be able to really talk about. Thankfully, we got a couple of shows that are coming out that we could talk about. We're definitely going to be talking about the Ahsoka show when it comes out. I know there are a couple of movies that are still coming out for the rest of the year. Obviously, everything with the saga, like the director and the actor strikes. As far as I know, those are still going on. So a lot of the big ticket movies that are coming out for the rest of the year were already planned. But anything moving forward is like yet to be determined. I told my brother yesterday, that the two movies that I'm really looking forward to for the rest of the year is A Haunting in Venice and then Dune Part 2. They both have like star-studded cast, and I think they're going to be like great movies. I don't think they'll contend for the movie of the year, but they're definitely going to be like big movies of 2023. And like I said, the rest of the movie industry is kind of like in hiatus until we figure out what's going on with these strikes and seeing if these people can get paid what they deserve. and all our love and support is out there for them. Um, so we'll just do what every podcast does, and we'll just adapt, and we'll visit some older things that we just haven't uh, you know touched yet, or talked
Oh,
about
I
yet.
got a
There's
whole
plenty of
list.
there's plenty of stuff that we haven't even covered yet.
Trust me,
Um,
I got a whole notes. Let me see if I can pull it up of um podcast
he does.
ideas that I've literally been doing. I don't know if you guys can see, but if I scroll, oh sugar, if I scroll, this is just the long list of ideas that I got, for us to do. So there's going to be a lot coming, and like my brother said, again, I know we're always very sporadic with our schedules, but it is very hard, very, very hard with both of our lifestyles to try to have a set date because things unfortunately do happen and stuff, um, and all that fun jazz. Can you hear me, Philip? Because you're like distorted.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't. Our viewers definitely won't be able to see you for like a little bit. You're still distorted, but at least you can hear me. Um, but what's it called? Yeah, coming up. Hopefully it'll be in the middle of the week where we'll try to record and try to get that out towards maybe the end of the week for you guys. Or again, feel free to hit us up and let us know what days you like episodes coming out on, because again, I'll have a lot more free time, coming to maybe do solo episodes, and maybe that's something we can do frequently, just 20 minutes here or there for something else, for you guys to watch and maybe enjoy or listen to and enjoy. Um, but yeah, sorry, I'm just fixing my glasses. They keep
No, I think
freaking.
to kind of piggyback off of that, we can kind of just like go into how we've been doing pretty much. Like let everybody know what's been going on. So for me, I'll keep it short and simple. I'm doing pretty good. My fall semester starts next week, so I'll be back to school. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully everything goes good. So fingers crossed. Work has been great. I just got like another little small raise, so it's always nice to feel appreciated. And I love working for the company, so I always have a blast when I go in for my shifts. So that's been going really well. It has been a little stressful these last couple of days, but things have somewhat mellowed out. I've learned to kind of just like let things like just roll off my back and not really bother me too much. For those of you that don't know, we recently had two members of our family come down to Florida because they're starting the transition of moving down to Florida. So they're staying with us, and it's been a little stressful at times, but overall it's been good. So just trying to stay positive and like I said, not let the little things bother me, and just kind of go with the flow. But otherwise, doing pretty good, doing a lot better than I was. So can't complain about that. Um, Otherwise, that's really it. I got really nothing to report. Kind of like in like our little 2 minute segment. Um, I did Jujutsu Kaisen like did stop their production of season two because they were doing like I guess like 7 or 8 episodes and then they were stopping, and then it's gonna come back out on August 31st. So there's gonna be like a 2 week hiatus until we get more Jujutsu Kaisen. So I'm looking forward to that. However, the Bleach Thousand Year Blood War arc has been going on still, and this is like peak fiction, guys. I mean, like this is like the best anime that we're gonna get for the summer. I don't care what y'all say about One Piece. I know One Piece is going on still, but right now they got nothing on Bleach. I'm sorry. Like, it's just
Hot take, hot
it's
take.
it's it's been so good, and like just every episode is just like banger after banger. The most recent episode that came out was just ranked a 9.9 out of 10. So it's like the best rated episode out of like all the top three. So it's being even it's better than One
Yeah.
Piece. At least for this summer. So it's been really enjoyable to watch, and I'm looking forward to the episode dropping. I think Saturday the next episode is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I was watching another one on Netflix, but that one kind of got a little boring, so I stopped watching it. I might pick back up, if I don't have anything to watch. But I got like 4 episodes in, and I was just like, eh, because like it started off real strong, and then like the rest of the episodes were just like all like different random stuff, and I was like, okay, I was like this. It's like it has a story, but it doesn't have a story, you know. and like I don't know, I just kind of got bored of it, and then it kind of went like on hiatus for a week, and then they made like a live action movie of it on Netflix, and I don't know.
Oh,
There's been a lot of it. It's the Zom 100 anime I was watching.
oh, the one about like not go the zombie apocalypse and not having to go to work.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Because I was hoping that was good. I mean, I
Well,
heard it was.
I like the fifth episode came out this week. I just haven't watched it yet. Um, so I'll probably give it a shot and I'll watch it. But I don't know. I feel like the episodes are a little too random for me. But I think that's the whole point. I mean, I think he's basically trying to check off this bucket list. So I mean, obviously they're supposed to be random, because
Yeah,
there's just a bunch of random things he wants to do. Um, but I mean, other than that, that's pretty much it. I think we've already spoke about that. But Marvel Secret Invasions is done. That's been wrapped up. That was phenomenal. I don't know if anybody has watched it yet, but the trailer or one of the first trailers for Loki season 2 came out, and that looks great. That's going to be a really great show. It's definitely going to save Marvel's butt for the rest of the year, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Just because I think it's probably going to be their most highly anticipated project. I mean, I think it's probably going to be more highly anticipated than the Marvels.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, that's really it. Blue Beetle's coming out this weekend, so we'll see how that does. Obviously, the critics are going to say it's going to flop just like Black Adam, but I think there's going to be a strong sense of community around it, especially for the Latino community, because like it's like the first time you're getting like a Latino superhero on the screen. So and what better way to start off James Gunn's DC universe with Blue Beetle? So we'll see how it does. The trailers look great for it. There's been a lot of hype around it. They've done well marketing it. So, I just think if they don't get too political with it, then it's going to do fairly well. I think it's going to surprise people. But you never know. We'll see. But I have my fingers crossed for it. I mean, I want it to do well. I want to see DC go back on that rise. So, hopefully it does pretty well. We'll just have to wait and find out. And finally, the only thing that I wanted to pose was kind of like as a question. And this is going to be like my conversation for, this is going to be my conversation for my 2 minute thing. So obviously, with Saga and like the director and the actor strikes, does the fact that these like big ticket movies or these big ticket actors and actresses are striking, does that benefit these smaller indie companies and these smaller actors by getting their movies more screen time, like whether it's like more trailers or maybe more marketing? Because obviously these smaller indie companies are not going to shut down their films, because if they do, then they're never going to make money. So
Mm-hmm.
is this like a little bit of a breakthrough for maybe some of the smaller companies and maybe some of the smaller actors and actresses to kind of make their name on the stage? Because like, for example, when I went to go see Oppenheimer the other day, there were so many trailers to movies that I never even heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that they were all like different, like smaller indie company films. And some of them looked like, like okay, like whatever. But some of them were like, oh, okay, this might have potential. So, I wanted to get your thoughts on it to see if like, this is a good thing or if this is still a bad thing, because it's still gonna, maybe negatively affect them just like how it is everybody else.
So it's going to be difficult because when I think about it, I kind of think about COVID times and I think about what movies were out during COVID, that people flock to the theaters, that could flock to the theaters. There's very few. And I remember going and watching, we went as well to see a couple of random movies here and there, maybe some random horror movies or just other stuff like that. Because if you wanted to go to the movies, you kind of really had no choice because of what was out. But now when I think about it, I also think of movies getting traction online. And I think about movies such as Everything Everywhere All at Once, Elemental, um, Talk to Me, the new horror movie that just came out that apparently is
I also heard that was
like
really good, by the way.
great, and they're making a second one, and it's one of the best horror movies in a while. People are saying get a lot of traction online, and people start to go see them.
See like an ad for it like every single time I watch
I
YouTube.
think because a lot of these smaller indie, movies or companies usually don't go on streaming, I think it will benefit them for sure because I'm even seeing you kind of see a trend of actors in and I think this would be a great episode. A lot of actors in big franchises do not do well after that franchise is over. if we talk about, just off the top of my head, right? If we talk about the last Star Wars franchise, the only successful actor that really has been in stuff since then has been Oscar Isaac. Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, yeah, they've been in projects, and John Boyega is kind of getting a comeback. Daisy Ridley, I don't even know what she's up to, and she was the face of that last 3 movies.
I mean, the only
So
thing that I know, well, I mean, she was in the Murder on the Orient Express, but I don't know if that was when the sequels were still being filmed or if that was after they finished up.
I couldn't even
And then
tell you.
obviously there's the new Star Wars movie that's gonna be coming out with her, like, in a couple of years. So I mean
But
that
again,
will be like her
if
return.
she wasn't really in that, like that, and that's just one example. Again, like you may know no more, but even Game of Thrones, there's a couple of actors on. That was arguably one of the biggest shows in. I mean, it is. It's over, obviously, but it was one of the biggest shows, and there are actors like Peter Dinklage, Pedro Pascal. But think about what's his name, Kit Harington.
Yeah,
The
well,
guy
I
that
mean,
played.
I guess the most recent thing that obviously we've seen him in has been Eternals,
Yeah.
and it seems like they are going to bring him back, in the sense of Marvel with his own little thing. And then we've also seen Emilia Clarke. She was just recently in Marvel.
Yeah, yeah. So we're seeing
And then
people,
again, we saw the actor that played Rob Stark in the Eternals.
Oh
So we're
yeah, yeah.
getting a theme here that all the Game of Thrones stars are going to go over to Marvel,
By the way,
basically.
I saw a clip. I mean, it's a spoiler for me, but I won't remember by the time I actually end up watching Game of Thrones. How they, got rid of that character, the guy that played Icarus, Robert Stark, was really screwed up.
Yeah, it's the most well-known event in Game of Thrones.
Screwed up. But getting off topic a little bit, I do think it's hard because again, people will flock to the theater for Marvel movies. Big ticket movies will make money. People will go to them. But I've seen a trend where word of mouth gets people talking, and I think this, saga and after strike. One second, the saga and after strike is gonna give excuse me, smaller movies a little bit more of a chance, and hopefully give actors the recognitions they deserve, such as we saw a return of Kiwi Kwan and Brendan Fraser, and Kiwi Kwan is actually in Loki season 2, so that's cool. And I know we're gonna see a couple of smaller faces kind of start to branch out into a couple of different things, and maybe more prominent roles that eventually they'll go on to bigger franchises. But kind of bouncing off what you were saying, yeah, Blue Beetle is coming out this weekend, and I'm excited for it. A lot of people are kind of doubting it because, again, it's projected to make less money than Black Adam, which is crazy because I know Black Adam did not make a lot. I think Blue Beetle's budget is around 100 and something million, so it's got to make at least 200 to probably break even with marketing and stuff. I hope it gets there. Do I think it's gonna make over like 500 million? I don't. But I think because of the community it's representing, hopefully a lot of people will come out and enjoy the film for that. And it looks fun. It looks fun, fresh, and a good way to start off a new, era of DC. I honestly think it's probably a perfect movie to start because it's going to lead into bigger things, I'm sure, and it's a character that nobody really knows about. It's kind of giving me Iron Man vibes in the way that Marvel started off. Nobody really people knew Iron Man, but he wasn't the most popular at that time. It was Hulk, Wolverine, and Spider-Man. This character, not that he's not going to be the face of the DCEU or DCU or whatever, but I think it's going to be a good one to start off. And I hope, again, there's a lot of actors and actresses in there that I don't know, and I'm looking forward to seeing that because it makes me excited and it kind of makes it feel a little bit more real, in my opinion. But going on to my 2-minute segment, there's been a lot going on in my life. I don't know if you guys know, but I got into a car accident maybe about a month and a half ago. I don't know, it feels like a while. Sometime in July. It was all right, nothing crazy. But I, was without my car for almost a month, which was very stressful. Cost me a lot of money. And I just got it back last week. And I'm very excited because it looks great. No matter all the frustrations and everything, I'm just happy to have it back and happy that everybody was okay. What's it called? I will break the news to everybody, but your boy is leaving AMC. Just let it sink in, guys. I know I have talked a lot about my time at the movies on this podcast, and I thought I could have held that a little longer. But after 4.5 years, my journey with the theater is over, and I'm moving on to other things. It's bittersweet, but it's also exciting because I haven't really been out of that place since the beginning, since the end of high school. And, now I'm going back to school to get my master's in education. So I will, probably become a teacher one day. So somehow, if anybody out there, I don't know, is a student or something, maybe you'll be my student one day. Um, but it's an exciting journey, and I'm looking forward to it. But it is bittersweet because I have been at the theater I've been at. I joined as crew in 2019, and I'm leaving as a kitchen
Got the
manager.
job.
Yes, he got me the job. I still remember who hired me and everything. And a lot has gone on there. A lot has changed. A lot of people have gone and come. And it's surreal, being at a place for a long time, and giving a good chunk of your life to it. But it is something that helped started this podcast, so it is bittersweet. But just because I won't be at the movies doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy the movies any less. I will miss losing my perks. As you guys know, I love collectibles, I love posters, I love standees, I love getting my hands on anything movie related, and I have a very extensive collection that I could still show off. But hopefully I'll keep my hookups and stuff. And I know all the secrets now, and I definitely will enjoy the movies now that I'll have time and actually go and see them.
I would like to give a bonus toast. Well, one to AMC. We've both spent a hell of a career there. We both
Yes,
dedicated. For me, it was about 3 years. For you, it's about 4 years. So, cheers to AMC. Cheers to all the memories and everything that we've made there. Obviously, like you said, it's just a part of our life that we've given a lot to. But you know what? Just like everything else, you got to move on. You got to branch out and find something new. So thank you to AMC. Thank you for all the wonderful memories. It's been a really great ride, and I mean, we're obviously not abandoning you. We're going to go see movies, the whole rest of our
yeah,
lives. But to all the memories that we've had there, to all the coworkers that we've worked with and everything, cheers. And this is to you, AMC, and then also to Joey as he moves on. He explores the next phase of his life, and he embarks in his new school and his new career. So here's a toast to all that.
cheers. Yes, if you guys don't know, I am going back to the same college I graduated my master's in, but now it's a university. So I am very excited to say I'm going to a university. I don't know how different it's going to be, but it makes me, feel a little better.
I could tell you it's not very different.
I figured not. Maybe it's bigger, even though I know the campus definitely did not change.
Yeah, you're gonna
Um,
go back like in 2 weeks, and there's gonna be like 5 new buildings.
yeah, there's gonna be like no more trees. Like that would suck. I love the trees there. But yeah, that's probably the biggest change in my life right now, and hopefully soon I'll be moving, not out of the state, but somewhere else on the island right now where I am. So that'll be fun, and looking forward to decorating a new room and stuff. But a lot of change, and change is good. It's also scary, but that's also it gets me excited for what we can do with this podcast. My new schedule, I won't get into details, but I will have pretty much evenings, nights, weekends to do what I want to do, and this podcast is a big part of that. And we will definitely be more on point with episodes, and hopefully be able to give you a lot more than we do now. Um, but what's it called? Other than that, there's really nothing, else crazy going on in my life. For my little segment that I want to talk about. Like my brother said, he has two movies he's looking forward to. My two most anticipated movies right now is Ridley Scott's Napoleon,
Oh, I
starring
forgot about that. Mm.
starring Joaquin Phoenix. Um, I am very excited for that one, not only because it is a history movie, but because it stars Joaquin Phoenix and it's Napoleon, a very interesting man throughout history. And two other ones that are, a little lower on the radar and may be a little stupid to say I'm excited for them is Five Nights at Freddy's. It is confirmed to be PG-13, but you know what? From the trailers, it still looks like it can be a fun time. And, I think they can do it right. And
Honest,
it'll make
I'm a little disappointed with that PG-13 rating.
it's because they know it would give them more money because of the kids. Of course, I
Yeah.
would like it to be rated R, but what are you gonna do? Maybe they'll release a rated R cut, afterwards or something. And something else to keep on the radar is the next installment of the Hunger Games, Ballards and Snakes or something like that. I think it's called.
I did not know about this.
Yes, Peter Dinklage is, I believe, one of the villains or something in it, and I love Peter Dinklage. And we have Rachel Ziegler and a couple of others in it. So a couple of young stars in that one, and Hunger Games is a good franchise, so I'm excited to see it back on the big screen.
Is this like a sequel or like a prequel to
It's a
the Hunger
prequel.
Games?
It's like
Okay.
50 or 60 years before, I think, the first one.
Oh, okay, this should be interesting. Yeah, the Hunger Games is a beloved franchise, so I would see it doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think like President Snow, whatever, like he's older in the movies, but in this one he's like 20 or something. He's young. Um, Another thing, I just saw a movie called The Last Voyage of the Demeter. It is basically about Dracula. It's a little different version of Dracula from Renfield, if any of you saw that. I thought it was a great film. It was pretty short. Again, it's rated R, so the gore is definitely there. And it gives me like that medieval fear of what Dracula is. And I like that they don't really show much of him until the third act. But when they show him, it's just like the right parts, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. So if you have the chance, that's a movie I would go spend your money on and check out, definitely. But other than that, nothing else really. I just want to get into the episode.
So this is a great point to segue into what we were talking about, my dear brother, because we were just talking about, people going to the movies and,
Yes.
these small indie companies. So I was going to ask you a follow-up question before you went into your, little 2-minute thing here. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Before we even get into the rest of the episode, let me do what I meant to do. So for those of you that do not know, obviously I would have gotten like a lot more personal this episode about like what Two Sons podcast meant to me. However, I did not want to cry or get emotional in front of my brother or in front of everybody. So last week when we couldn't record, I ended up putting out like a solo episode, just basically talking about like my own personal experience with the podcast and what it means to me. So if you haven't checked that out, it's on YouTube currently. And for those of you that do not know, I mean, people that have watched that episode, you got sneak peeks, so you already know about this announcement. But I was thinking because of our 50th episode, because I control the YouTube, I decided that the YouTube channel needed a little bit of a rebranding. It just went by Two Sons. It was a little literal extension of the podcast, and it still is by all means. It's
Yeah.
still a part of the podcast. However, because it is mine and I control it, I decided to put my own little personal touch on it. I took inspiration from a franchise that we love. It's near and dear to our hearts, which is obviously Star Wars. And I was thinking about where somebody might go to unwind and just relax about the rest of the day. Some people might have chose Mos Eisley Cantina, a nice little cantina on Tatooine. Somebody might have chosen, the lower levels of Coruscant, maybe bought some death sticks. But a place that always seems like a pretty fun time, at least in the Star Wars universe to me, always had a nice, colorful crowd of characters, some, wildly entertaining live entertainment and spectacle, was Jabba's Palace. And I took the inspiration from Jabba's Palace and I created Jabba's Lounge.
Oh.
That's right. YouTube has been now rebranded into Jabba's Lounge. So it's obviously still part of Two Sons Podcast. I'm going to be posting the episodes for Two Sons Podcast like I was always. However, it's just not going under Two Sons anymore. It is going under Jabba's Palace. So I have created, or I've basically turned my own personal Instagram and TikTok into the YouTube social media aspect. So, I will be on Instagram and TikTok at Jabba's Lounge. So I'll be posting like the screenshots of like, when the episodes post. And I'll be basically shouting out the podcast like I've always been doing, except it will just be like an official channel for the YouTube page. So just like how my brother has the official pages for, the audio podcasting, part of the podcast, I will have social medias for the YouTube. So that way you can follow both, and it just kind of gives us a little bit of, it relieves more stress off of Joey because he doesn't have to worry about posting too much on social media, and it, gives me a little bit more responsibility, and because I have more free time, I can post some stuff on social media, about the podcast and whatnot. So I just wanted to give that a quick shout out. So, like I said, we'll still be on YouTube, but it won't be at Two Sons. It'll be at Java's Lounge. And then, like I said, on Instagram and TikTok, that is also going to be Java's Lounge. So we'll remind you guys towards the end of the episode, but I just wanted to give that quick shout out before we dove into the episode and before I forgot. So now that is out of the way, I will continue my train of thought. So the question I was going to ask you was to follow up on, basically people going to the theater and these smaller indie companies. For those of you that do not know, Regal is, one of the bigger competitors or franchises for movies. They're going bankrupt. They're going broke. A lot of their locations are shutting down. The Regal at the mall that I work at shut down. I don't know if any other locations in Florida have shut down, but they're going broke. So it seems like it's only a matter of time before, either some of their smaller chains maybe turn into like smaller movie businesses, like maybe independent ones, or, if they just all shut down flat right, which kind of, trickles into the conversation, before we get into what we were going to talk about, with these strikes going on, with, maybe not so many people going to the movies anymore. And then now the fact that one of the bigger competitors for movie going experiences is shutting down or going bankrupt. What does that mean for the movie industry? Do we think that this is, the final nail in the coffin for the movie industry as we know it?
So there's probably 2 or 3 things that can happen in the next year or so. So, as you know, if you guys don't know, but I'm sure most of you do, both, I believe it's SAG and AFTA, basically the Writers Association for Film and the Actors Association for Film, is all on strike, meaning the writers are not writing, the actors are not acting. This is serious stuff because obviously we know those are the people that make the movies. Yes, there are tons of others that make it as well, but again, now they are out of jobs. There are thousands, if not, hundreds of thousands of people that is out of work because of these strikes. And the movies is a very interesting industry because of how and when it makes its money. Basically, September and October are slow months for the movies until Halloween movies come out, whether it's a big franchise or just horror movies in general. And then you get November is See, December usually picks up. You probably have about 4 months out of the year which are pretty slow. Now that's a lot of money lost, and because of the deals that movies have with what's it called? Companies. Movies make their money on different things, not just the tickets. They barely make money on the tickets. It's almost nothing to them. That's why I don't know in the areas you guys live, but dine-ins have become a very popular form of movie going. And we've even seen, we have bars, kitchens. You're even getting, different reclining seats, but we also have IMAX becoming a lot more popular and known, even though it was, but it's expanding. Same with Dolby, because you have to have basically only certain theaters can have it because of the height, the width, and what it can handle. And those are the movies that cost, more money than regular tickets that make the money. But basically, I believe if the actors and writers stay on strike until December, I think the next year of movies because I'm trying to think of on what posters we have, like how late these movies are coming out that were filmed. I think we will see almost a beginning pandemic time of movies again. I think you will have one big movie, maybe, and a couple of small random indie films, if that happens, just because of the deals. If the deals are not struck with the actors and writers, I don't know what's gonna happen. And Netflix, and HBO, Hulu, they might become the things that have movies, whether they're the big ticket movies or not. They may become the things that have movies. With Regal dying, that's a big deal because again, it's Regal, Cinemark, AMC. Those are probably, as far as I know, the 3 biggest chains, and Cinemarks aren't everywhere. And I know AMC reaches pretty far and wide, but the money balances. I mean, again, this year I know we made more money than last year, and Barbie and Oppenheimer definitely helped, along with a couple of other films that were out. But if you really don't get those big tickets, it's hard for the industry to kind of break even on, their prices. So, I'm interested to see it from a movie going standpoint. But if we have, certain, it's even directors, once we have directors that stop, directors also get people's butts in the seats. Christopher Nolan, you know how many people have gotten to see for Oppenheimer? I mean, Oppenheimer is a rated R movie, and those rarely make over 100 million. And I know Oppenheimer's up to like 6, and that's a lot of freaking money for a rated R movie. Let alone, Christopher Nolan's an acclaimed actor, but like Ridley Scott, we have Napoleon and Gladiator coming out. I don't care if it was Ridley Scott directing it or not, because Napoleon sounds super interesting and Gladiator's great. But again, he's Ridley Scott. He's gonna get people's butts in the seats. Like Steven Spielberg would, like George Lucas would. There's plenty others out there.
I mean, this kind of like transitions into like what we're going to be talking about for this episode, basically. So, like, with the movie industry, as a whole, like, kind of in disarray and like in question, and like, the strikes, of the two organizations going on, and just basically movie the movie industry and entertainment industry just kind of up in scandal, and nobody really knows what's going on. It makes us kind of think back to just overall, how have movies been performing? Is it a performance thing? Like, are they not making enough money? Is that's not what's driving people? Because obviously, for people that go to the movies, everybody knows that the movies could be expensive. It's not like a secret. Obviously, it's a night out. I mean, instead of going to a nice dinner, you'd be going to a movie basically, because you get like a ticket, you get food, whatever. It's going to cost as much as a nice dinner. And
Oh yeah.
is that unfortunate? Yeah, of course. I mean, if you have a family, you'll forget about it. You're already spending like a couple $100. So is the experience worth it? And like how are these movies performing? And as me and my brother have been talking about, we've been looking back, from you know present, from COVID times, all the way up into the present day. And I think my brother told me only 5 or 6 movies from COVID, like up to the present day, have only made $1 billion. And you might be like, oh, well, Philip, isn't like $1 billion like a lot? Yeah, it is a lot. But you know what? Can you argue that movies should be making close to that each time? Depending on maybe the franchise or maybe the company. Yeah, of course. But the fact that we've only maybe had like 5 or 6 films in the past, what, it's already been like 6 years. Is that a good track record? It seems like you do the average. It's like, maybe like one movie per year is making $1 billion. But is that enough for the movie industry to keep growing and to keep thriving and to sustain itself? And again, we're seeing a big, company like Regal, and obviously that's not the case. So this is what the episode was going to, focus on, and what the rest of the episode is going to basically focus on, is that we were going to break down, these couple of movies that have made $1 billion over the years. This is going from COVID times all the way to the present day, and we're simply just we're not gonna like dive into them. We're not going to explain what the movies were about. We're just basically going to, say what the movie is and give like a brief, like, synopsis about what it was, and whether or not it deserved $1 billion. If it didn't deserve $1 billion, did it do anything for the movies? And that's basically how the rest of the conversation is going to go. So, with that being said, I think we could dive into, whichever one I don't know if you want to go in chronological order, if you just want to pick one, and we could talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, so what's it called? I don't know. I believe offhand, not looking at the list of just these movies, but I think there's been over 50 something billion-dollar club films, in existence, I believe, starting from Titanic up until now, which is a lot of films. And, we saw a peak in, billion-dollar films around the time of Infinity War, Endgame, 2017 to 2019 was a good time for billion-dollar movies, as well as part of the early 2000s. But right now, there has been 6 films that have reached over $1 billion since 2020, basically. Since the movies reopened their doors, there has only been 6 films to hit $1 billion, which does not seem like a lot, because it really isn't. And pretty much all these movies are big ticket films. So it's not super surprising, especially one of them. I'm definitely not surprised. Maybe 2 of them. But yeah, I mean, let's get into it. I'll just go in probably the order that they came out. And I think off the top of my head, Spider-Man No Way Home would be the first movie to make over $1 billion post-COVID. This would probably not come as a surprise to anybody. As all of you may know out there, the time before Spider-Man No Way Home was one of the most interesting and probably most exciting times to be a Marvel fan, to be a Spider-Man fan, and just to be a movie fan. The talk and hype around this movie was something like Endgame, or Infinity War maybe. Probably like Endgame, I would say. Because so many people was questioning what was gonna happen, who's in it, is Toby and Andrew coming back, who are the villains, so who's gonna die, so much stuff. So much stuff was being talked about, excuse me, for this film. And we both worked it. We know how crazy it was. Um, of course, there's no doubt it was going to hit over $1 billion. And I believe one of the reasons for that is character of Spider-Man, obviously, popularity of Tom Holland, popularity of Marvel at the time, but also the experience. All you would probably see on TikTok, Instagram, whatever it was at this time, was videos of people's reactions in the theater. And we really haven't seen stuff like that since Endgame. So this was a movie going experience like no other for a while. For a while, people, I mean, you could say like 2, 3 years, but for people to get in there and see them get up and cheer and clap and scream and cry or just have all these emotions in their seats is like that's a movie going experience that people are going to pay that top dollar to see just because of this film. um so I mean, we won't rank it in terms of really. I don't know if you want to rank it in terms of maybe our favorites or maybe if we think they deserve the $1 billion.
We can go through the list first, and then we could always just do our own rankings at the end. You know,
Oh,
I mean, I could say like based off what you said, like I do agree that this movie deserved to make $1 billion. Like first of all, like yeah, I agree. It deserved to make $1 billion. And do I think this movie helped the movie industry? Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously for Marvel, it was extremely hard to top something after Endgame. I mean, Infinity War and Endgame were like their bread and butter. And seeing there were obviously a couple of Marvel movies that came out after Endgame, but they couldn't recapture what they did in Endgame. And like you said, I mean, like it took them like 2 3 years for them to finally get the formula right. And then again, you could argue that it was like the star-studded cast of all these actors and actresses coming back. All the OG Spider-Man villains. The OG Spider-Man themselves, Tom Holland. Et cetera, et cetera. Doctor Strange. Um, and all that together. Plus with great marketing, obviously, and a lot of speculation and theory and stuff like that. It found the recipes for success and it made $1 billion. And I think it definitely deserves $1 billion. And I think it did enough for the movie industry, at least, post COVID, to kind of get its back on its feet. I don't think it had people like running. I mean, obviously, people were running to the theater to see this movie, but I think it gave the initial push, but I don't think it was the sole responsibility of this movie to kind of bring people back, if that makes sense.
oh yeah, I think, and ironically, I think the next film that we're going to talk about here is the movie that probably brought theaters back. I mean, at least to my experience, and to kind of segue into our next film. This was a movie where I thought it would be popular the first weekend and it would absolutely die afterwards, and that was completely not the case. This was probably sold out for the first 3 months it was in theaters, and you guys don't know how long that has to be and how popular it has to be in the theaters for 3 months. And it was a movie that, just like Spider-Man No Way Home, got re-released in theaters, and it is Tom Cruise's highest-grossing film of all time, and that would be Top Gun Maverick. People were calling this film the film of the summer when it came out, past 2022, I believe. And man, was it a movie of the summer. I mean, from what I've heard, still have not seen it. Still
I
have
was
not
about to
seen
say,
it.
I was like, I haven't
Um,
seen this, so I don't
from what
know.
I've heard, though, it is absolutely stunning. The visuals are great. Obviously, we know how Tom Cruise does with his stunts and his effects and everything, so everything is real. I heard Miles Teller and all the other actors were phenomenal. This is something that kind of got Miles Teller's name back in the headlines, even though I know he is a little known. But we did have a couple of other smaller actors in that film as well. Um, but this was a film where I saw old people, families, couples, single people. I saw every walk of life come for this film, and I, even had people tell me they have not seen a movie in 5 or 6 years, and this was the first one they were seeing, which is astonishing to me. Whether the regular Top Gun was popular and people were just waiting for, a sequel, years and years later, um, who knows? But this was a film that caught me by surprise and brought the theaters essentially back for the summer. I mean, summer's usually busy times, but this is something that kept them on their toes for the 3 month period from, I believe, May it came out until it left, and then it came back. And it wasn't as popular, but I will tell you, those theaters were pretty stacked when it came back. Um, so neither of us can really give our opinion on this film, whether or not it deserves it. But if people are flocking left and right for a couple weeks after its initial release, I'm sure there's something in there, whether it's Tom Cruise himself or just people might really like airplanes, or maybe Top Gun was a film that people resonated with, and years later
I mean,
they're
I
getting
gotta
it back.
say, I mean, like I've seen the original Top Gun, and it's a good movie. I definitely enjoyed it. It didn't hit me the same as like somebody like our grandparents or maybe our parents, because just different generations. Like I mean, again, it was a great movie, but I was not like, oh my god, this is like one of the best movies I've ever seen, you know. Um, but again, based on like how it's being described, and this goes for just like the audience seeing it, and then for obviously the statistics that you guys had at the movies. Well, first of all, I think yes, I think it does deserve to make $1 billion or more. And then to follow up, and the fact that it was like sold out for like almost like 3 months, or it was just very hard to get like an empty showing, and then it was re-released in theaters. Yeah, I definitely think it did a lot for the movie industry. If not only did it do so successful for 3 months straight, but then they also re-released it. So I think both of those are definitely definite yeses.
Yeah. Um, Moving on to the next film on this list. Probably, I wouldn't call it one of my favorite, but I will. It is part of one of my favorite franchises out there. We have a film 65 million years in the making. We have Jurassic World Dominion. This is also another post-COVID billion-dollar club film. I don't think there was any surprise that this film would make over $1 billion. For a while, it held around 800 to 900 million, and it just kept on pushing because it was in theaters for quite a decent amount of time. And again, it was sold out for probably the first month it was in theaters, but not to the extent that Top Gun was. But I think it's just because people flocked, they weren't flocking the opening weekend for it because they knew it would be out for a long time. Everybody probably knows Jurassic Park. Everybody likes dinosaurs. Who doesn't want to see dinosaurs on a big screen? Families, grandparents, couples, singles will come for this movie. Was it a little bit of a letdown? Yes. It was really hype, in my opinion, because it was bringing back the OG cast. It had bigger stakes, and I was excited to see dinosaurs again. I love dinosaurs, and I know my brother also is a fan of them as well. And I love the Jurassic Park movies, and I like the Jurassic World ones as well. And again, I like this movie. I will definitely go back and rewatch it several times. And it was great to see on the big screen because who doesn't like to see dinosaurs fight on a big screen? Um, this is where I have one of my most memorable stories of working at the movies, but we won't get into that now. Um, but this was also at a time where I believe Minions came out. So that was a very busy summer for us because I believe this was June. I don't remember when in June, but I believe it was June. Now this is something that, of course, it was going to make $1 billion. Regardless, it was going to make. I believe this and um, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom both made over $1 billion. I think the regular Jurassic
But
World
I
made like
thought I thought the whole trilogy made $1 billion. No.
maybe. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but regardless, I know
Well, we
the
did break
Jurassic.
it down. We did break it down in one episode where we like ranked the trilogies. So I think I broke down the statistical numbers. So I think they did make like 3 point something billion. So I think each of the films, at least for the Jurassic World trilogy, made over $1 billion.
Let me see if I can look it up right now.
But I mean, while you do that, I mean, well, first of all, I would have to say that I definitely do agree that it should have made $1 billion. I mean, like you said, there's a huge loyal fan base for Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, and like you said, everybody from all walks of life. Whether you've seen the original movies, or you're a younger fan, getting into dinosaurs and getting into movies like that, it definitely deserves to make $1 billion. That there's no doubt about that. However, when it comes to did it kind of like quote unquote help the movie industry or kind of push it along? This one's a little bit up in the air because, like you did say, it was a busy summer. There were other popular movies out that probably helped out the movie industry just as much as Jurassic World did. Um, However, even though it was marketed really well and it did really well, like performance wise, and it made those $1 billion, I'm hesitant to say that, I agree with the fact that like it helped bolster the movie industry because I think at the end of the day, if this movie was never made, I don't think anybody would really care. And that's kind of sad to say, but obviously, when you take a franchise like Jurassic Park and you extend it beyond, what it truly should be extended to, then you're kind of getting into some like uncharted waters, and it's kind of hard to feel out how the audience is going to react. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like I can swing both ways. I mean, I could say I
Um,
agree because it made $1 billion, and it did. Obviously, that's always good for the movie industry. But then I could say that no, I disagree because the summer was busy. There were other good movies that came out, and you know what? Like this was not a make or break movie for like the year where if this did not come out, the movie industry would have tanked. So
so sorry to cut you off. You are right. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Jurassic World Dominion all made over $1 billion, with Jurassic World being making over 1.6 billion. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom made over 1.3, and Jurassic World Dominion made about 1.1 billion. So kind of like my brother said, I believe that this wasn't going to really affect um, changing the scope of the movies. Um, a lot of families did come, and it was definitely a big movie for that. And I think once people saw the trailers for it, they were excited to see this on the big screen. But again, if it did not come out at that time, I don't think it would have made a difference. And I think regardless, it still would have made over $1 billion. It's kind of just one of those movies that is there. Unfortunately, because it wasn't a game changer like the first Jurassic World, because that was the first time since the 90s that people saw that the Jurassic franchise on the screen, and it brought a whole new cast of characters and dinosaurs to our screens. But of course, seeing something like this in IMAX, Dolby, whatever it is, 3D is a treat. And I hope years down the road they re-release it so we can see that again on the big screen. Um, but moving on to we're halfway through the list now. Moving on to the fourth movie. This is also years, and I think over 15 years in the making since the last one. Stunning visuals and a lot of blue. If you guys haven't, figured it out by now, we have Avatar: The Way of Water. Um, I believe that Avatar: The Way of Water. I think it actually made almost 2 billion. Box office. So it it has become the third highest grossing film of all time, with a global box office of $2.2 billion. So this is
wow.
actually in the $2 billion club, and it really is no surprise. Um, Again, Avatar is one of the films that is kind of up in the air for a lot of people. A lot of people don't get why the first one was so popular, and a lot of people probably wasn't gonna come back to see the second one. But regardless, it is probably the film that has had the most stunning visuals to date. There has been films with great visuals after this and before this, but there is no doubt that James Cameron puts a lot of time and thought into his visuals. And I love the world of Pandora, and I love seeing these characters on the screen. Me personally, I love seeing all these different creatures. I like the story. It's a basic story in both of them, but it gets the job done. Cool characters, cool fights. A lot of action, a lot of heart. It's a long. Both of them are long movies, but I like long movies. This was a film that definitely made a difference in the industry, just because it was so talked about. Because again, Avatar was a phenomenon when it came out, and having one over a decade later, yeah, people were interested to see what it was, and this was an IMAX experience that a lot of people I know flocked out to see. Same with Dolby and all that. Um, so do I think it deserves a billion? Yeah, I think it deserves a billion. Did I think it would reach 2 billion? I did not. I will tell you, I thought this movie was gonna barely make a billion, honestly. Not because I thought it was bad. I actually do. I do like the movie, and I like rewatching it. There are some parts I don't like because it's sad with the Tulkans. But we won't get into that. But stunning visuals. Good movie. Very similar to the first one in my opinion, just water. But new characters, which is always nice to see, and I am looking forward to the third one. And I definitely think it did have its impact on the movies, and I honestly think no matter how many James Cameron makes, I think the Avatar movies are always going to bring people back, regardless if they're fans or not, just because of its visuals. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why, just because it is stunning to see on the big screen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, I definitely agree that it should have made $1 billion. Like you said, it was very widely talked about. It was marketed very well, and this is a good example of a franchise that was years in the making. I mean, from when they released the first one, like in the early 2000s, this has been something that has been worked on and talked about, for a couple of years before they even started production. I mean, when we did our Avatar: The Way of Water episode, we broke down the timeline,
Mm-hmm.
and they spent a couple of years on like making the script and like just getting everything in place before like they actually started shooting and filming for this movie. And this was like a multi-year process. So I think because it was marketed very well, it was talked about, it was widely liked. I know some people didn't really like it, they didn't really see the hype. um I think when we look at movies for that year, I definitely think it was better than Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It definitely had some movies to compete with for that year. But I think when we look at like towards the end of the year, like the fall, the winter season, I think it was definitely the strongest movie of that season. And I do agree that obviously it deserves $1 billion. And yeah, I could also agree that it was a great way to end, the what was it like the was it 2022 that movie came out?
Yeah, because it was December.
Yeah, so I think it was a great way to end the 2022 year for movies. Go out with a bang, go out with a $2 billion bang is obviously a plus for the movies, and it was a good way to segue into 2023, which has been a decent year for movies. I mean, there have definitely been some great movies this year, but it's not nothing too great. But yeah, no, I would definitely agree for both.
Yeah. So we actually have two more movies on this list, and both of them are from this year. We are actually seeing our first animated movie on this list, and it came quite as a surprise. We have the Super Mario's movie. This is another film that has made over $1 billion. Um, I'm sure you guys all know who Mario is. Probably one of the most popular video game characters of all time. Possibly one of the most popular characters of all time as well. This movie had a star-studded cast, with the likes of Seth Rogen, Chris Pratt, what the heck is her name? Anna Taylor-Joy, um, Jack Black, uh, Keegan-Michael Key, and so on and so forth. So that definitely probably helped in its nature. But again, this was made by Illumination, which is the studios behind Despicable Me and a couple other animated films. So people are a little bit, questionable about the animation of this film, but I think it was beautiful. And there are films with better animation for sure. But the animation is nice. It's a short movie. It's only an hour and a half. Great kids movie. It's a lot of fun. It's entertaining. I thought all the actors do well as their characters. And it looks like we're definitely gonna get more. We're definitely gonna get a second movie of this, maybe a trilogy or something. Who knows? Um, I definitely think it had its impact in terms of a lot of families coming in. Um, I'm not sure if it really would have made a difference if this film came out or not. I know people are big fans of Mario, and I think with the success of both Sonic movies, they thought video game adaptations do well, and they thought when.
I think it's kind of like in the same boat as Jurassic World Dominion, where it's like
Mhm.
if it wasn't there, like all right, it's whatever. But I think because it was there, and obviously it had I don't know like $1 billion worth of stuff to say. Obviously
Yeah,
it does benefit the movie industry, and especially because it came out this year. Um, I mean, you ended the 2022 year for movies with a $2 billion movie, and then like in the early months of 2023, you start off with like another $1 billion movie. So it seems like these last 2 years back to back have been pretty decent when it came to movie releases and what has been coming out. Like you said, I mean, it has a great impact on the community. I mean, there's obviously such a huge Nintendo following. It's like one of the best video game companies in the whole entire world. They're one of the companies that started video games to begin with. A lot of well-known, memorable characters. Obviously, Mario and the whole gang are like well known by everybody. I actually just like watched this movie like a week ago, and like it was great. I waited for it to come out on Peacock because I couldn't see it when it was in theaters, and it was great. I loved it.
it's a
Everybody
fun
that I
film.
worked with loved it, so it was fun. I enjoyed it. I think it was the perfect length for a film like that. Obviously, the critics like roasted it, like it's like certified rotten. Like
Oh yeah.
it's not a good critically acclaimed film. But the audience gave it a fresh score of like I think like 95%. So it was one of those films where the audience really loved it, but the critics didn't. Um, so yeah, I definitely do agree that it deserved $1 billion. Like I said, you have a great fan base. You have a huge clientele to pull from, and it was a good animated movie. And Nintendo could do a lot with this. They can go into all different genres. They can go into Donkey Kong movies. They can go into um, Yoshi movies. More Mario movies. They could just expand. With the whole world of Nintendo and all the characters that they have there. That's a whole new avenue for video games and then movies alike. And do I think it helped the movie industry? Yeah, I do. I think it's one of those cases where if it didn't come out, you know what? Oh well, it didn't come out. Who cares? But at the end of the day, it did come out and it did make $1 billion. So I think to start off, the 2023 season, with a $1 billion movie, I think that obviously heavily impacts the movie industry. And then obviously again, it was marketed very well, and we've seen that as a theme, this year, where a lot of these movies that have done well, maybe not $1 billion, but they've done into the high like $100 million, like 7, 8 million. Um, they've been marketed very well. So that's definitely a key to success when it comes to movies. So yeah, so I would say definitely agree for both.
Yeah. And the last film on this list, and the most recent one, and the one that is still currently in theaters, would be Greta Gerwig's Barbie. This film has grossed over $1.2 billion as of now and is still climbing. Probably will get to 1.4 with my estimates, with still how popular it has been. Um, this comes as a surprise, but I can't say too much of a surprise. When this movie came out, did I think it would flop? No, just because of the Barbenheimer memes. And it was a freaking Barbie movie. I mean, it's starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Those two together are great. You also have Will Ferrell, and again, another star-studded cast. You have random people in there such as Dua Lipa and John Cena as mermaids. Who doesn't like that? Have I seen the movie? No, I have not. So I can't say anything really about the movie as a whole. But I know there are some interest. Like I know the beginning of the film is like a callback to 2001: Space Odyssey, which I like. So I don't know if you remember the beginning of 2001: Space Odyssey. Will
With the monolith, yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
basically, they have Barbie as the mom. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's interesting. I don't know, like
Yeah,
why.
interesting is definitely a word for it.
Yeah, and I know there's messages behind the film which probably adds to its popularity. I can say this is a film where I've seen so many people dressed up for it, and since Star Wars, this is probably the most people I've ever seen dressed up for a film. A lot of people in pink, couples, grandmas, moms, families, everybody, which is great. I love that type of interactions in the theater. And everybody seems like they have been having a good time. It seems like just overall a feel good movie, but it also can teach you a lesson, kind of like a live action Pixar movie almost in a weird sense, because that's usually what Pixar does. Um, I think this is a movie that is a summer hit, plainly as that. Do I think it made a difference? Yeah, of course, it added maybe a new style. It also was the first female directed movie I know to make over $1 billion. So congratulations to Greta Gerwig. Gerwig, I think is her name. I know she's a good director, so I'm sure she's gonna do more projects after this. And congratulations to that cast. Um, if you have not seen it, I would suggest go seeing it. Definitely, I know it'll still be out in theaters for a while. But this is again also a kind of a movie where I think if it did not come out, it would not be crazy. But it definitely has been good for a lot of people. Um, so again, it's hard to say because I have not seen it, but from what I know, it holds some messages in there, so I can give a better opinion after I see the film.
I'm in the same boat. Have I seen the film? No. Do I plan on seeing the film? No. Um,
You should.
no. I think the only reason why this film has done the way it has, and just how popular it's been, is because two reasons. Obviously, one, the marketing for this film has been great. They've done really everything they can to
Also, the
get,
soundtrack is good.
yeah. They've done everything they can to get the marketing out. A bunch of TV commercials, toys, accessories, you name it. Obviously I've heard it has a great soundtrack. The I'm Just Ken song is apparently like top 10, like,
Oh
like in the
yeah.
charts. So it does have a good soundtrack. It does have a star-studded cast, but I think if it didn't have that social media presence or it didn't have that marketing presence, like if this was not marketed or like on social media at all, it wouldn't have made $1 billion. It's just that simple. Because obviously we all know the power of social media and marketing, and if it wasn't being circulated around before the movie came out, nobody was going to show up in droves wearing pink and like going to do like a Barbenheimer weekend.
Yeah.
Because social media is so profound, it's what made it so popular. But if this movie kind of flew under the radar, it would have made maybe like half a billion, if not like maybe less.
Mm.
At the end of the day, it's a silly movie. I don't want to come out and just be like it's a stupid movie because I haven't seen it, but it's a silly movie. There are some themes or messages behind it that like may not be for everybody. Some people argue that it is more of a political film. Some of the messages behind it are kind of political. And that that's just stuff that I've heard. The people that I've talked to, they seem to really enjoy it. But then again, at the same time, they're all girls. So obviously that kind of gives you an idea of what type of messages are being shown. It depends on who you are and what you're looking for in a film. But do I think this movie deserved to make $1 billion? No, I don't. Like I said, I think the only reason why it did was because of social media and marketing. But do I think it helped the movie industry out for this year? Yeah, of course. Because in the same year you have two movies that have made over $1 billion. Um, so we don't really expect any other movies to make $1 billion this year unless Oppenheimer comes out of nowhere and like makes $1 billion. But I don't really see that happening, to be honest. And
Mm.
even with the other movies coming out, like A Haunting in Venice or Dune Part Two, I don't really see those movies making $1 billion. So this is probably the last $1 billion movie for this year. But like I said, I disagree with the fact that it should have made $1 billion. But I do agree that this was a good boost for the movie industry. And it's definitely helped keep the movies on trend at least for 2023. So that's my little take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know that the Barbie movie, for being a silly movie at times, it also holds some messages at times, and I'm interested to see it because I really want to know what people take away from it. I know it hits a lot harder for some people, and some people they just don't really care. But I think that's kind of why they also have Barbie and Ken. Maybe it's two sides of the same coin or something. But definitely, again, I think any movie that makes over $1 billion, there's got to be some sort of reason for it. And I think social media and marketing definitely. I mean, marketing obviously plays a huge role. But in recent years, I think we've seen social media kind of take a little bit more of the coin in that, especially with one of the examples being Pixar's Elemental. Marketing was absolutely atrocious for that film, and social media saved it, in my opinion. Um, Not that the marketing was atrocious for this film, but again, I think social media also brings people coming out in groves in pink and going for a Barbenheimer weekend. Like my brother said, it definitely holds an impact for that. And it creates more of a movie going experience, which I actually kind of like. I like that people do fun, whether it's like silly stuff like that. It was harmless, not like the stupid Gentle Minions thing. I swear to God, if anybody ever tries to do that again, little side tangent. So today, one of my coworkers was like, "Joe, sorry to bother you, but there's two kids dyeing each other's hair in the bathroom." So I walked towards the bathroom door and I could just smell the paint and hear the can. And I walk in and there's just these two kids, probably like 13 years old, both of them. One's just shirtless, like over the sink, and they just have like blue in their hair, and I'm just like, yeah, you got to go outside with that, guys. Like, we're not doing that in here. And they were just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, the hell? Like, that stuff is stupid. But like, coming in pink, whatever, be my guest. Coming to sue for Oppenheimer, be my guest. But for that list, there's definitely a couple of interesting ones on here. Kind of like if we talk about Rotten Tomatoes, I'm pretty sure every film on this list is pretty good on Rotten Tomatoes, besides Super Mario's and Jurassic World. But I think the fan ones for both those movies are pretty good. So it doesn't even matter according to critics. Really, the critics the critics could think a movie is dog shit, such as Super Mario, but yet fans will obviously come out to see this movie. So, and we're going to continue to see that in the future, and it definitely has been a thing in the past. And overall, there's really probably only, I think, 3 movies out of these 6 that really changed and were like important to the movies. And I think those were Spider-Man No Way Home, Top Gun Maverick, and Avatar The Way of Water. I think those 3 movies were probably the most important in terms of their impact and how they actually how basically what they held on the film industry. Again, Jurassic World, Super Mario, Barbie, whatever, they're all films, but there's just things that make Spider-Man No Way Home, Top Gun Maverick, and Avatar Way of Water a little bit more specific in that sense.
Yeah.
And again, like if I had to, I'm just gonna do a ranking based off of what I enjoyed the most. And only 2 of these movies I can't really comment on, so I will leave Top Gun Maverick and Barbie out of it for now. I will say I am looking forward to watching Barbie more than Top Gun Maverick. Not that I don't like Tom Cruise, but I'm a little bit more into a silly movie, and interested in seeing what is in it in terms of how much heart it may hold. But if I got to rank Spider-Man No Way Home, Jurassic World, Avatar, and Super Mario in terms of how much I enjoyed, I will say, I think I would put. See, it's hard because I like Spider-Man No Way Home, but I think after the first time you see it, it doesn't hit as hard. So for that experience, I love the first experience, but it's just something that doesn't hit afterwards. I really like Super Mario. I think it's a fun movie, and I think it's definitely rewatchable. So I think I would put Super Mario at that top spot. I think after that, I'm gonna put Avatar: Way of Water, just because I love the visuals, I like the story, I like the characters, and I just thoroughly enjoy Pandora and James Cameron's world. And then I think I would put Spider-Man: No Way Home, and then Jurassic World. Not that I don't like either of those movies, but Jurassic World was a little bit of a letdown, but I absolutely love dinosaurs, so I will never not watch a movie. And it wasn't, a terrible close to the franchise. And again, Spider-Man No Way Home just doesn't hit as hard any other time after the first time, in my opinion. So, excuse me. I don't know if you want to rank yours, but I just figured I'd do it quick.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll exclude Top Gun and Barbie from the ranking as well. So if I'm doing it like purely in just like enjoyability and like what I would just not mind like watching like over and over again. Ooh, this is kind of hard. Well, I guess I'll start at the 4th spot, and honestly, I think for the 4th spot, I'm probably gonna put. Oh man, I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna say Avatar: The Way of Water. It was a great film, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind watching it again, but I think for the third spot, I'm probably gonna put. I think I'll put the Super Mario movie. And then I think top two. I think the second spot is gonna go to Spider Man, and the first spot's gonna go to Jurassic World. Just because I would sit there and watch a dinosaur movie like every single day.
Yeah.
Spider Man, I disagree with you a little bit that it wouldn't be as good watching it a second time, because I think just because the film had such a big impact like on release, I think if you were to go back and watch it again, it would still have maybe not the same way you felt in the theater, but I think it would still have the same impact because like it was obviously a huge film. It was a pivotal film for like the character of Spider-Man, and like what his history is going to be moving forward. It brought together in like the other Spider-Man that we grew up with. All the OG Spider-Man villains. So I think it has enough behind it where like if you watch it again, you'd be like, oh man, like I remember how hyped I was for this film.
Oh yeah.
So I think I would do Jurassic World Dominion, then Spider-Man No Way Home, then the Super Mario Brother movie, and then Avatar: Way of Water. And again, I loved all those movies, but if I had to just do something watchable, and then honestly, I'd probably just put Top Gun at 5 and then Barbie at 6 because even if I watched both of them, it wouldn't there would be nothing that would be like, oh, I'm gonna watch Top Gun or Barbie over like Marvel or Avatar.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think my list would have just stayed the same. So if I had to put all of them in, then Top Gun Maverick would be at 5, and then Barbie would be at 6.
Very nice. For you viewers watching, let us know. Like again, if you saw all these movies, give your opinions on it. Maybe make your own list. Um, in your opinion, do you think these movies deserve $1 billion? Do you think it even has an impact on the film industry? Should $1 billion be a standard for a popular movie now these days? Especially with Marvel. Marvel has huge budgets, and if they don't make at least 8 to 900 million, they really don't even, they're not really making money. So, for the future, are we even going to see? I really don't even know what the next movie that will make $1 billion would be. Um, right now, I don't even think Dune Part 2 is gonna get there, just because I don't think the first one made over 1 billion, so I don't see the second one making over 1 billion. Um, and I don't see the Marvels making over 1 billion. I know Captain Marvel did, but that was a different time and a different story. I don't see the Marvels making over 1 billion. Um,
I think the next time we'll see $1 billion movie is probably when the Avengers come out again.
who knows at this point? Because I'm not even sure what the slate is for the next 2 years of movies.
And
Because
obviously, like you
I'm
said,
not honest.
it's kind of hard to predict because any of these movies that were set to come out, you don't know when they're coming out anymore, so you don't really know what to look forward to. So honestly, it's gonna be just kind of going along for the ride and just seeing what comes out and how well it does. So,
Yeah.
but I think for at least for the rest of 2023, you know what, having $2 billion movies in your year is pretty good. It's definitely for 2022 and 2023. Those have definitely been some good years for some movies. Um, and I think it's a good place to kind of be at, especially with all the strikes and everything going on. You know what? I think you did as good as you could for this year. You just hope that the rest of the movies that are slated to come out, do pretty decently. And like I said, we don't know what the future holds, so we don't know what the 2024 lineup is going to look like. We don't know what 2025 is going to look like. And then obviously the years going forward. So we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed and see. But I think for now, where we're at presently, um, I think the movies are in a decent place. I think there's enough behind these movies to keep the movie industry afloat. I think if they fix their prices a little bit, and they make it more affordable, then people will come back. I guess the way they look at it is they can go into the movies and get a drink and a popcorn for more than $15, or they could stay at home and they could buy a streaming service for $15 a month and just get their snacks and drinks for free and then just watch it on their couch. So I think when you put that comparison side by side, there's probably a reason why not so many people go to the movies anymore. And then
Yeah.
obviously, COVID was, pretty much responsible for that because ever since COVID, obviously the whole, movies coming out on the streaming services thing happened, and now, it's changed the whole game of the movie industry because now people could just wait until these movies come out on their streaming services, and then they don't have to get out of their house, they don't have to wait online, they don't have to sit near people. I mean, yes, obviously, unless they have like this amazing surround sound system, they're not going to get the movie theater experience. But I guess when they list all the pros and cons, it's worth staying at home and just watching it at home for them. Um, so hopefully there are things that these movie theater companies can do. Like I said, like offer these maybe membership plans that are kind of cheap, monthly, and will allow people to go to the movies more. Lower your fucking prices, make it more affordable for people. I mean,
I don't I don't
there are
think
these smaller
prices are.
companies that have tickets for $6 or $7. I don't understand why you guys can't do $6 or $7 either. Not you specifically, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean. Um, so little things like that. I mean, I'm sure these companies will figure it out, and we'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, we were going to be going back into like kind of like a you know COVID era style movie theater experience where like there were only these like small indie films coming out, and you had less than 100 people like per day, and your busiest weekend was maybe like 500 people in one day. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we had, I think today there was less than 300 people for like the whole day.
I mean, obviously, you could argue like
Yes.
people are going back to work, people are going back to school, so obviously, like different times of the day are going to be busy or dead. It's just like that at my job, so it's like they're all throughout retail or like customer service. But we'll have to wait and see. So obviously, you guys will come along for the journey, and we'll update you with anything that comes out. But yeah, for now, right now, honestly, it's a mystery. So we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully there's some sort of revival, or maybe everybody gets their stuff together, and movies are right back on track because I mean, let's face it. I mean, 2024 would have started off great. You would have had, the third and final Spider Verse movie coming out, and that would have been a huge banger. Everybody was looking forward to that after the Across the Spider Verse movie, but obviously that's been pushed back now, and then it just kind of trickled down from there. So we'll have to wait and see. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this ends our conversation, and this ends our wonderful 50th episode. I can't believe it's been 50 episodes. You kind of think about it, you're like, oh wow, 50 episodes. You're like, that's not really a lot. But then like when you realize like it's been like over 2 years, you're like, holy shit, like 50 episodes, like that's a lot. You know,
It's a lot.
I know we didn't record every week. I mean, there were times where we were like on like a hiatus for like a month or two. So it's not like we were always constantly consistent. But I mean, again, when you spread it out, you're like, wow, like 2 years and 50 episodes, like that's crazy. Um, I would just love to see where we're at for like our 100th episode.
Yeah, I mean, I
um,
don't know. Depending on how consistent we are, maybe that'll be a year and a half from now or something. Maybe sooner. Who knows? But
yeah.
by that time, I'm just interested to see what movies are out. What our quality was like since the first episode. What has happened, and that definitely is fun to also go through this journey and kind of look back on where you were 2 years ago and where you are now in terms of just listening to one of the first episodes, because we normally talk about our lives, so it'll be like, oh my god, I remember that weekend. I know when we recorded, I would always talk about, oh, this weekend, Batman's coming out, Spider-Man's coming out, or this is coming, Avatar's coming out, and like then I would let next episode how it was. So it'll be fun to go back listening to that. And kind of like what my brother said earlier, how he did a solo episode about what this podcast means to him. I will be posting that on Spotify and the other podcasting platforms. I just didn't want to post it as the 50th episode, not because I don't think it's good, only because I'd rather have both of us talk, actually enjoy 50th, kind of celebrate it, and then I'll also release another episode for you guys. So his episode will be available on the streaming platforms, if you have not checked it out yet. And it's just another option for you guys. I don't know how you usually listen to us, whether it's in the car, whether it's in the car or something. But just a little side bit, like what this podcast means to me. It means a lot, just because again, I love film, I love theater, I love TV. I love really anything that has to do with that. And you can't see because of what's going on with my living situation, but my room would normally be decked out with posters and a lot of other stuff. And when I figure that out, I'll definitely have to show you guys and give you an update on what stuff is looking like. Um, but it's just now that I will be out of that industry in terms of working it, I'm excited to jump back into it as a customer, and I'm excited to go back and actually enjoy sitting down and watching a movie. And I'll always be grateful for having the experience to see what it's like behind the scenes, working these big movies. And I'll get into it next episode. But both me and my brother have had the pleasure of working some of the busiest and most high-grossing movies of all time. I know me. I have worked $2 billion films, so that's pretty crazy, and very exciting. Um, but getting on with it, I think this is gonna close out our episode. I think we had a good time, and I think we talked about what we wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah, no, I think we did a pretty solid job. If I have to say so myself.
Yeah. I just want to let you guys know that our follower account has been growing, regardless if it was or not. Again, I love each and every one of you that come out and listen to us, and we're both grateful for anybody that comes out and supports us. But it's just amazing to see us grow. Again, we are in over 13 countries, which is crazy to me. Whether it's one person listening in one country, I don't care if it's one person. The fact that it's reached all the way to you is amazing, and thank you for coming back, and thank you for continuously listening, or thank you for just giving us a shot. And if it's not for you, understandable. But spread the word, tell your friends about us, tell your family about us. And I will say, since we have started this podcast, we have had over 600 plays across all episodes, and that may not seem like a lot, but we are halfway to 1,000 plays. And the fact that maybe in a year we can hit over 1,000 plays would be absolutely amazing. I remember when we just got five. So I'm excited to see what more we can do and how much more we can spread and how popular our episodes may be. Um, so looking forward to that, especially with a more consistent schedule. Expect that in the next month, guys. Again, I'm so sorry about the lack of content on the social medias, on everything, but this past month has not been the best month for me. It's been very hard to catch up and keep up, and now I think I'm catching my feet a little bit, and looking forward to new things and better things. And this podcast will be one of them, and it'll be something will be able to enjoy a lot more. Um, but closing out the episode, I just want to say again a big thank you for you guys. Thank you for joining us for our 50th episode. I definitely didn't get my money worth of these stupid glasses. um, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear them the whole time. I didn't realize they suck. But thank you for coming out and joining us for this 50th episode. Special, if I want to call it. What I want to start doing now that we're on, you could see us, is like for Halloween. It'd be cool if we could like dress up or something as like a movie character, or just decorate it like that, or have like a themed drink or food, or excuse me, or something along those lines. Um, but I have a lot of ideas that we can definitely do, and we're gonna have a lot of fun topics and discussions. And again, the more social media presence you guys get, the more stuff we can do to interact with you guys. Um, I have so many posters and stuff. I would love to give away one, and maybe in a couple episodes we could do something where we could work that out. But again, if you guys are interested in like stuff like that, like definitely let us know. I know I'm always trying to, get you guys to interact with us. Just let it. I usually post when when the episodes are posted. There's usually two polls posted on Spotify. One of how did you enjoy the episode, and just a question, about the episode or something else. Feel free to take them. I see you guys' answers, and I would love to have more feedback on what we can do better. If you're enjoying it, if you just suggest something, and please suggest whatever you want for us, because we will pretty much almost cover anything, and we love talking about new things. Um, so once again, I am eternally grateful for all of you. Thank you again for joining us for this 50th episode of Two Sons Podcast. Again, if this is your first podcast episode joining us, what an episode to join us on. Give yourself a round of applause. But I just want to, shout us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all under Two Sons Podcast. So the Sons with an O, not a U, because we are two brothers, like my brother said. We are also on YouTube, but we are under a new name known as Jabba's Lounge, because we figured there you can go, you can sit back, you can relax, and you could eat some blue milk or drink some blue milk or something along those lines. You can enjoy just hanging around with a Rancor or something. But not to get into a segue here. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out and listening. Excuse me, pardon me. And I will leave the closing out to my brother.
Okie dokie. Very well said. So, everything my brother said and more, cannot thank you guys enough for all the love and support. We really hope you guys enjoyed this 50th episode, where we just kind of kicked back and relaxed and, talked about some movies, talked about ourselves. And, the future of Two Sons Podcast is bright, just like the two sons that guide us. And, the rest of the year is going to be great. We got some great ideas with some episodes coming out that, me and my brother will talk about. Hopefully when our lives get a little bit, less chaotic, we'll have a more organized schedule, bring you guys some more thorough content, and we'll just keep pushing, keep trucking along. Hopefully we gain some new followers. If not, we have our loyal community, our loyal family, and they're always gonna love and support us. And I shouted out everybody and stuff like in my personal episode, but to all of our family and friends that are out there, whether it's our immediate family, because we do have family that listens to this podcast, so thank you. Thank you to our family, for everybody that comes out and supports us. I mean, obviously you're our family, you're always going to love us, but it's always nice to see you guys support something that we're passionate about. So thank you for all our family that, comes out and supports us, especially our mom. She's the best. Like, she always watches and listens to the episodes, and she tells us how great it is. So, we're always appreciative for her support. Obviously, my brother's girlfriend's a big supporter of the podcast too. So, she's a big part of the community, and some of the success that we have here. She's gotten us a couple of new members of the community and everything, and has expanded the podcast for us. So again, just thank you to all of our friends and family that have checked it out, and that have supported us along the way. Thank you to all the new friends and family that we've made. With this community growing, it might be small to some people, but to us, it's more than we could ask for, and we're always thankful for the people that come back and for the new people that join. My brother listed out all the socials for Two Sons Podcast. So for me, like he said, at YouTube, we are under Jabba's Lounge now. And then we are also on Instagram and TikTok at Jabba's Lounge as well. So, after this video is, edited and, sent to my brother and stuff, we should probably be setting this to release, sometime tomorrow morning. So check your, streaming apps, check YouTube. And, we really hope that you guys come out and enjoy this 50th episode. But without further ado, I think this is a good place to end it off. Before we go, I don't have anything else to drink, but just, one last metaphorical toast to Two Sons Podcast, and, all the memories that we've made, the journey that we've been on. And, obviously from the bottom of my heart, I love doing this. Not only can I spend time with you guys and, the community that we've created, but I also get to spend, as much time as possible with my brother. So it's always good to, be able to spend time with him and talk to him. Obviously we're in different states now, so it's not always the easiest of times, but it's always nice to stay connected through something that we love. So this is a way for us to bond and grow our relationship. So this is also a toast to my brother, so my co-host. Let's keep it going and see how far we can go. But thank you guys for all your support. Like I said, please check back sometime on Thursday, for these episodes to come out. And check back on the socials, if we have any episodes up and coming or just anything to talk about, I'll post it, my brother will post it, just check us out, don't be shy. And whenever you listen to this, whether it's in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, please be safe, enjoy your days, stay hydrated, don't do anything stupid, and we will see you guys all in the next one. Goodbye for now.
See you later.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah. Nice.